Welcome to MOOC on Principles of Electrical Sciences. Dear learners, I, Dr. Rashmi Agarwal, Department of Electrical Engineering, JC Bose University of Science and Technology, Faridabad, is going to deliver a lecture on single phase induction motor. This module is divided into two parts. We are going to start with part 1. The agenda of this module is classification of electrical machines, including its construction, principle of operations, then the nature of magnetic field produced in a single phase induction motor, which will be explained on the basis of double field and cross field theory, advantages, disadvantages and application of induction motor in our daily life. The topic which we are going to start is classification of electrical machines. As you all know, there are two types of electrical machines, AC machines and DC machines. AC machines can further be classified on the basis of supply, 3-phase AC machines and single phase AC machines. Single phase AC machines are also called as single phase induction motor. The motor comprises of a single phase winding, hence the name single phase induction motor. It is similar to a 3-phase induction motor except for the fact that the stator has a single phase winding. That is why it is not self-starting. So, we need an extra circuit to make it self-starting. Induction motor, single phase induction motor are very popular because single phase supply is generally available in our house life. Low rating single phase induction motor are popular in domestic use. They are simple in construction, reliable, easy to repair and comparatively cheaper in cost, and therefore they find use in fans, refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, washing machines and kitchen equipments. The single phase induction motor is very simple and robust in construction. As the slide shows, a 3D view of single phase induction motor which contains your stator, rotor, shaft, fan blades, bearings, and the whole thing is included in the frame of a single phase induction motor. Now, we are going to start with the construction. The construction especially starts with the frame. What is frame? Frame is a outer body of a motor. Its function are to support the stator core and the winding to protect the inner parts of the machine. Now comes the stator core. The stator, instead of a complete iron piece, is a group of thin iron sheets which are stacked together. Now they are so closely pressed that there is no air between them. Why do we use a stacking method? We are using it. By this we are able to reduce the iron loss and power loss, and we keep the performance high. Now the stator also carries a distributed winding in the slots which are cut around the inner periphery. This slide shows the view of rotor. You can have a view that there is a shaft on which the rotor is winding. The rotor consists of aluminum bars and aluminum ring. Then they are short circuited by a aluminum ring. There are fan blades and there are laminated iron core. We will explain this in the next slide. The rotor setups look like a squirrel cage, and that is why it is named as a squirrel cage rotor. Now in this cage construction, the aluminum bars are located as a rotor conductors which are parallel to the shaft, and they are close to the rotor surface. Now at both the ends of the rotor conductors are short circuited by continuous end rings of a similar material, that of rotor conductor, and that was shown in the figure also, that aluminum bars and aluminum rings were of the same material. The rotor conductors and these end rings form the complete circuit in itself. Now the slots on the rotor are not parallel to the motor shaft, but they are usually squared in order to obtain a uniform torque. This is done in order to reduce the magnetic locking of stator and the rotor and reduce the humming noise when the motor is running. Now the next topic is shafts and bearing. The rotor shaft is supported by bearings housed in end shields. Now, the air gap of the induction motor is kept necessarily small, and therefore, rotor shaft is kept short and stiff, so that rotor may not have any significant deflection. What will happen if there is any minor deflection? Any minor deflection in the shaft will develop irregularities in a air gap, which will reduce to unbalanced magnetic field. Now, generally we are using ball and roller bearings in the small motor. We are going to now start with the principle of operation. It shows the single phase AC voltage which is supplied through the stator windings. There is a squirrel cage rotor which is mounted on a shaft, and this rotor contains the conductors. When the alternating current is supplied to the stator winding, a sinusoidal pulsating magnetic field varying with the time is produced, whose axis is always along the axis of a stator coil. So, the figure shows the sinusoidal wave of the flux produced when a alternating current is supplied to the stator winding. Now, this flux which is produced crosses the air gap and links with the rotor conductors mounted on the rotor shaft. By electromagnetic inductions, the currents are induced in the rotor conductors. Now, this current will always in a direction to oppose the stator MMF. Why? According to the Lenz's law, it always opposes the cause which has produced it. Then the axis of the rotor MMF coincides with that of stator field, and when both the axes are coinciding, that means the torque angle is 0 and there is no torque at the time of starting. So, pulsating flux acting on a stationary squirrel cage rotor cannot produce the rotation, and therefore, this single phase induction motor is not self starting. So, how can we start? The first step we can do is by giving a initial start to the rotor of a motor, then immediately a torque will arise and motor will accelerate in that direction. In order to obtain a rotating magnetic field, the stator is generally provided with two windings, the main winding and a starting winding. Now, the starting winding is also called as a auxiliary winding, which is shown in a figure. Because this motor is not self starting, so one winding is more provided to make it a two phase motor. Now, the 90-degree phase difference between the two windings is obtained by splitting the single phase. The combined effect of these two folds set up the two winding in more or less a rotating field. This is also shown in a figure. The main stator winding and auxiliary winding are joined in parallel. In practice, in order to convert temporarily the single phase motor into two phase motor, these auxiliary conductors are placed in the upper layer of stator slots. Now, just you see from a figure, there is a centrifugal switch which is connected in series with the auxiliary winding. What is the function of this switch? This switch is to cut off the starting winding when the rotor has accelerated to 75% of the rated speed. This is an arrangement by which the polarity of the starting winding can be reversed. How will we reverse? We just change the direction of a rotor, or we change the polarity of the starting winding. Now, we are going to start with a topic to discuss the nature of the field produced in a single phase induction motor. It can be explained with the help of two theories. One is double revolving field theory, second is cross field theory. Now, we are going to start with double revolving field theory. This theory is based on Ferrari's principle that pulsating field produced in a single phase motor can be resolved into two components of half the magnitude and rotating in opposite direction at the same synchronous speed. According to this theory, an alternating flux can be represented by two revolving flux rotating synchronously in a opposite direction. Now, if we consider phi m be the maximum value of the alternating flux, then we can assume that it has two components, phi a and phi b, and both are of the same magnitude, phi m by 2, and both are rotating synchronously but in a opposite direction. So, the sinusoidally pulsating flux can be represented as a cosine wave that is equal to phi m cos theta. Now, this can be easily shown in the figure which has been shown in a slide. When the flux is resolved into two fluxes phi a and phi b of equal magnitude, then at theta is equal to 0. At the time of starting, both are rotating in opposite direction, but the angle between them is 0. If the angle between them is 0, that means the theta is equal to 0. As a result, the stator flux is equal to the maximum value of flux, that is your phi m. In the second figure, now if the flux start rotating in both opposite directions and make an angle theta, then your stator flux will reduce to phi m cos theta, which is dependent on the value of theta. Now, when the flux has reached at the angle of 90 degree, now they both flux A and B are in opposite direction. As a result, the theta is equal to 90 degree, and when we substitute the value of 90 degree, your stator flux now will be equal to 0, because both the magnitude values will cancel each other. When the flux again rotates and they are at an angle of 180 degree, then your stator flux will be equal to the negative of the maximum value, that is phi s will be equal to minus phi m. Again, when the flux start rotating and reach at an angle of 270 degree, then again your stator flux becomes 0, because both the parts now are opposite to each other and they cancel each other. At the angle of 360 degree, which is again equivalent to 0 degree, your stator flux will again become equal to your maximum value of flux, which is phi m. Now, these all 6 points can be easily depicted in a graph, which is shown here, that A, B, C, D, E, F points, which we have calculated previously in the figures. So, this curve shows the plot of the stator flux. Now, how can we say that this flux, this double field revolving theory proves that your single phase induction motor is not self starting? So, the following derivation is a proof of that your single phase induction motor is not self starting. Now, we all know that according to this revolving field theory, we are resolving the flux into two fluxes, and we can say that one is rotating in a forward direction and another is rotating in a backward direction. As a result, forward flux will have a torque Tf and backward flux will have a torque Tb. Now, the forward flux, if we assume that it is rotating at a speed of n, then the backward flux will be rotating at a speed of minus n. Now, we substitute this in the formula slip. What is slip? Slip is equal to the difference of the speed and a synchronous speed divided by the synchronous speed. So, when forward flux will be equal to slip S, but when we substitute in this formula for the backward flux n by minus n, then your formula will be reduced to ns plus n upon ns, and this will reduce to equal to 2 minus s. So, your forward flux is equal to, forward slip is equal to s and backward slip is equal to 2 minus s. So, at the time of starting, when your speed is 0 and when we substitute, so your slip is 1. At that time, your backward slip will be equal to 2 minus 1, that will be equal to again 1. So, your forward slip and your backward slip both are equal. As a result, your forward torque is equal to your backward torque, and therefore, their difference is 0. So, the single phase motor is not a self starting. So, this is a derivation which is showing that your induction motor is not self starting. Now, we will come to the next theory, that is your cross field theory. Now, cross field theory is little bit different from your double field revolving theory. Now, this theory is concerned with the voltages and currents that the stationary stator magnetic field can induce in the bars of the rotor when the rotor is moving. Here in cross field theory, we are giving a movement to the rotor. So, initially when a single phase supply is given to the stator winding, an alternating field phi s is produced along the horizontal axis. When the rotor at a standstill, initially the rotor is at standstill. So, this field will induce a EMF in a rotor winding. Now, as the axis of both stator and rotor field lies in a horizontal direction, so there will be no torque produced. Now, what we are going to do here, we are going to give a slightly rotation to the rotor. So, as rotor is given an initial rotation as shown in a figure, a rotational EMF is induced in a rotor. Now, this induced EMF in rotor is in one direction at one side of the vertical axis, and it is in another direction on another side of the vertical axis, which is shown by differentiated by a point and cross. So, as the rotor circuit is closed, the rotational voltage so induced will produce a rotor current and rotor EMF whose axes are displaced by 90-degree electrical for stator axis. Because now there is a phase difference, so voltages are induced in the bars of this rotor with the peak voltage occurring in the winding passing direct under the stator windings. Because of the rotor's high reactance, the current which is flowing in the rotor will lag the voltage by 90 degree if it is more inductive or if it is more capacitive. So, the field produced by the rotor current phi r known as a cross field will have a time phase difference of 90 degree with the stator field phi s. Now, with this a rotating magnetic field present in the motor, the induction motor will develop a torque in the direction of a motion, and that torque will keep the rotor rotating. So, these fields produce a revolving field which will rotate in a direction in which the rotor was given an initial rotation. Now, if the rotation was given in a clockwise direction, then the motor will rotate in a clockwise way. So, by this we have seen that in a double field theory, we are talking about we are resolving the main flux into the two fluxes, while in a cross field theory, we are giving an initial rotation to the rotor and are finding out that your rotor flux is in quadrature with the stator flux, and that is why it will give a torque to rotate the motor. Now, after explaining this both the theories, we can come to the final topic of the torque speed characteristic of single phase induction motor. Now, these characteristics are similar to the three phase induction motor, just the torque which is developed by the forward field in the direction of motor is positive, and the torque which is developed by the backward field is negative. Now, in the figure you can say that there is a forward torque and there is a backward torque. Both are 0 at a speed is equal to 0 where the slip is 1. Now, you will see that the forward torque is moving from n is equal to 0 to n is equal to s, or from slip 1 to 0, but your backward torque is moving from your slip 1 to slip 2, but both are in opposite directions, and the curve of the resultant torque passes through a 0 at a slip of unity, showing no starting torque, and motor cannot start rotating immediately independently. If the motor is moving, it must be moving in a forward directions with the slip from 0 to 1 if it is moving in a reverse direction, we have a plugging action with the slip varying from 1 to 2. So, the total action is sum of the both the actions, as motor action is more stronger than the plugging action, and therefore, this device acts as a motor. Now, we are coming to the advantages of a single phase induction motor, because in our daily life most of the motors which we are using are single phase induction motor. Then why we are using a single phase induction motor? Because main point is it is lightweight, compact, robust and can operate in any environmental condition. Secondly, generally most of the supply which we are getting in our offices and in houses, they are single phase supply. So, and this motor runs on a single phase supply which is easily available. Thirdly, they are cheaper in cost. Now, why they are cheaper in cost? Because as you have seen in a cut view, there is no brush, there is no commutators, there is no slip ring which are required in other motors like synchronous motors or your DC motors. Now, if we want to start this single phase induction motor, as I have explained in the previous slides also, we have to just give a slight rotation to the rotor by some means, by making a two phase motor or by giving some torque, and this motor will get started. So, it has got a quick startup, and when it has got a quick startup, you have got a good speed control also. Now, this single phase motor has a very good maintenance. You do not need to be maintain it again and again. It will last for years as well, and usually most failures from the single phase motor are a result of inappropriate applications rather than the manufacturing defect from the motor itself. There are disadvantages also. First major disadvantage is we have to insulate it. So, that means which cost is increasing? High insulation cost. Secondly, I have just told you in the last some slides that we have to keep the rotor short and stiff, because if there is any deflection in that rotor, then there will be no uniform torque, and when there will be no uniform torque, what will happen? There will be no uniform magnetic field, and what will happen? There will be no uniform torque, there will be a lot of humming noise when your machine is running. This motor cannot handle the overloading, because if we overload this induction motor, you have generally seen in your household appliances also that sometimes if you overload any machine, it can burns. So, this is a major disadvantage, it cannot handle the overload. We will just learn about the different types of the motor, in which there is one motor, that is your capacitor start motor, that has a very good starting condition, but very poor running condition. So, you can have a very good startup, but when it is running, it is not you got a very poor running condition. Last not but the least, it is always say that it is not efficient as 3-phase induction motor. So, what are the applications? I am telling you, we are using in a domestic use everywhere. Then we are using the single phase induction motor in fans, refrigerators, air conditioners, vacuum cleaners, washing machines, centrifugal pumps, tools, small farming appliances, blowers, etc. They are mostly used for low power but constant speed devices such as agriculture tools and machinery, where 3-phase supply are not available. Small motors like 1/400 kilowatt to 1/25 kilowatt motors are used in your toys, compressors, mixers, electric shavers, drilling machines, hair dryers. These motors are generally used in your toys, robot toys, which small children used to play with the moving cars, robots. They all are having a single phase induction motor. By this we end with this module. Thank you.